Welcome back to another episode of Just a Tip, where we say the shit that everyone's thinking but nobody's saying. Today we're sitting down with Michael Ortiz, but like many others, you probably know him as Jojo. And this one's not your typical nightlife Miami story. This guy went from boxing, acting, and acid trips to sitting in temples and learning tea from Buddhist masters, and then bringing all of that mindset back to Miami and turning it into a real business. And at first you're like, tea in Miami? But then when you hear him talk, it all starts to click. The discipline, the detail, and the intention behind it is actually the same mindset you need to survive in this industry, just without the screaming and the hangovers. We get into how he built Jojo Tea, what authentic actually means when you're dealing with something that's been around for centuries, and sometimes why slowing things down might be the smartest and the hardest move you can make in a city that never shuts the hell up. This one's a little different, still hospitality, just a completely different angle. This is Jojo, let's get into it. So let me tell you guys something I see all the time. You take over a second gen space, you think it's turnkey, but the second you walk in, it's not exactly what you need. Maybe the bar layout doesn't flow, maybe the kitchen's a little outdated, or the bathrooms look like they haven't been touched since the 90s. That's why I tell all my clients, you need to call Brodson Construction. Whether you're building from the ground up or not, you still need the finishing touches done right. Brodson's been local and family run since 1989. They're the top 1% in Florida, and they've handled everything from luxury homes on Star Island to some of Miami's best retail and restaurant spaces like LPM, Cipriani, Hillstone, Bell Harbor, just to name a few. Bottom line, don't settle for nickel and dime contractors who might underbid the work to win the job up front and screw you over in the end. Brodson maintains integrity every step of the process to build enduring relationships and never exploit clients. So remember, if you're gonna build, call Brodson Construction.
Guys, do I have a special treat for you? Not only is he probably the most well-recognized local tea master, and probably the only tea master in Miami, great guy. He's a staple of the community. This guy has redefined tea culture and food and beverage culture in general. If you've seen him, he's made some sort of impact in your life. Had to get him, begged him to come on, finally did it for me. You guys are lucky. Today we have the one, the only Michael Ortiz, or better known to many as Jojo. What's up, brother?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, bro.
Very big deal. I'm honored by my presence. Please, man.
All hail. All hail.
Please, man. We just heat water and make tea. Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me on. And real quick, before we get started, thank you for what you're doing, man. You know, you've been like shining so much light at Miami hospitality workers. You helped, you know, for those of you that don't know, you helped us find our spot that we're currently at. You've been putting in real work for Miami hospitality for a long time, bro. So,
bro, look at this.
Thank you.
I didn't
man.
even have to pay him to do that. You know?
I'm sending you an invoice, bro.
I appreciate it. But, you know, I think we've known each other for about 10 years now. I remember I'm meeting you still when you were at the old location. And I remember coming into your tea room that time and seeing the bookshelves that move into the private ceremony. And I'm like, holy shit. And this was the Gables. And I'm like, holy shit, I have never seen anything before like it in my life. You know, obviously, we're homies. We have a lot of the same homies. Everybody, I don't think there's one person in the industry that doesn't know who you are. But you're like that low-key guy that's nowhere and everywhere at the same time. You know, like, but what I want everybody to really know is like, people have seen, you know, any coffee shop you go into, they see the Jojo Tea signs. But I feel like a lot of people who aren't in the industry don't really know you and your background, how you are not a major corporation, but still have so much impact on the industry. You know, I was like, dude, I got to get this fucking guy in and tell his story because it's really remarkable, man.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to, man. I think I think truthfully that my story is crazy. It's like,
I know. It's crazy, just every time I talk to you, you're like, oh yeah, I went to drama school with Lady Gaga. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what? So, you know, I guess, you know, give it to me. I know that you're from Miami. You're local. You're a local
I grew up in Miami. My family's from Cuba. I was a amateur boxer and a football player. I went to a Belen. I went to an all boys Catholic school. And like, you know, I don't want to get too biographical, but like basically, you know, I was a sophomore in high school and sitting in biology class, and then a fucking airplane hit World Trade Center Tower 1. And like, I was like, bro, like my family came from Cuba with nothing. Like, and then now this happens. Like, I'm gonna defend my country.
Right.
And I wanted to go to West Point. That was like my dream. I wanted to go to West Point and support the country. And I like put all of my focus into that. And then we went into Iraq. And I was like, what the fuck does that have to do with 9/11? Yeah, and I saw, you know, like, not to get too political, but it's like, all right, like the Bush family makes money on oil, the Cheney family makes money on defense. Now all of a sudden we're going into Iraq. We know that it has nothing to do with 9/11. Like, it just felt like with all due respect to our service members, because I certainly respect our service members, but it just felt like the whole thing was for sale, you know? And the only other thing that ever interested me was acting. So I was like, damn, you know, maybe I'll just become a movie star.
Right.
And
So what'd you do? You did that here? Or you went to New York?
I went to FSU for my first year because I couldn't, like, I always heard that, like, you know, if you want to be a movie star, you got to go to NYU.
Right.
So I tried to get in. I didn't make it. I went to FSU for my first year. And there actually, I think, is really where, like, the tea story started. Because in FSU, like, you know, coming from, like, this, like, straight-laced background of being an amateur boxer, being a football player, then all of a sudden I was an actor, you know. I was like, all right, like, now let's see what's up with this artist life, you know. And I took a bunch of LSD.
Nice.
And dude, I remember, like, I had this experience on LSD that, like, something really interesting happened. There was, like, you know, I ate LSD with a bunch of friends of mine, and then like we were all having these conversations, and I felt like I could see the conversations just going in circles but not going anywhere. And I just stayed quiet, and then they were all like, you know what, we're gonna go for a walk. And I was like, yeah, go for a walk. And they left and went for a walk, and I felt like I could still see their conversations going in circles until they just, like, emptied out into echoes. And then, like, the room that I was in became like a holograph, and, like, I was just seeing through the walls into, like, vast space in every direction. And I felt like there was no boundary between me and the space. And I just felt this tremendous sense of peace and bliss. And, like, instantly I was like, oh, like, this must be why people do yoga and why people meditate, is just to connect with this, like, expansive consciousness, you know?
Right. Do you think you tapped into the other side of your brain?
Something like something. It's beyond the other side, because it's not like the other side would symbolize, like, this versus that. And it's like I tapped into, like, the ground on which this and that stand.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I had a real, like, transcendental experience. But then I thought that, like, LSD was, like, the way into that. So then I started taking a bunch of LSD and having these, like, fucking terrifying experiences, bro. Like, and it was like, you know, I had some, like, really scary experiences, and, like, you know, I was, like, fucking talking to trees and shit. I was, like, out there, like the opposite of a Belen kid, you know? But then somehow I got into NYU, you know, I auditioned and I got in. And then I went to NYU and I went to their acting school.
What was that like?
Dude, it was brilliant, man. Like, I was there with Donald Glover. I was there with like, Lady Gaga was in the dance school at the time. And, like, at open mic nights and at school talent show type shits, she would, like, come in and, like, you know, everybody would do these, like, random little things. Right. And then Lady Gaga comes up and she, like, just, like, blew, like, her and Donald Glover just, like, were so many levels beyond anything.
Did you know, like, just by seeing
bro,
it, that
of
they
course,
were going to be,
like, they were on another planet, bro. They were on another planet. It's like playing a high school basketball game, and then LeBron walks in and he dunks, and you're like, like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? They were just on another planet. But, like, in acting school, we did a lot of yoga to study movement, and we did a lot of breath work to study voice. And I started getting more and more interested in that, you know, in, like, these, like, practices that could, like, that if you practice them with enough focus, you could access this, like, transcendental state, you know? And my friends and I started a theater company. Cool. It was called 11 Benevolent Elephants, the EBE ensemble. And it was, like, my buddies Monty and Eric Alba and Joe Mullen. And, you know, we had this theater company, and my friends John and Andrew were writing for it. And, you know, these guys a lot of them are still in the acting industry, but this was, like, 2007, 2008. And it was before, like, it was before the Me Too movement happened. It was before the news came out about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. And I, like, saw a lot of gross shit that just, like, really turned me off to the acting industry. I was like, this shit is, like, whack. Like, they treat people like pieces of furniture or prostitutes. Right. And if you could,
you actually saw a lot of that?
Of course, yeah, man. Of course.
Guys,
like,
girls, the whole thing.
Yeah, man. And like a lot of, like, just, like, implications, like like I'll never forget, man. I was in this one meeting one time with like an agent, and the agent was this like old dude, like he must have been in his like late 70s.
Yeah.
And like I sit down, I tell him like, you know, I'm from Miami, blah, blah, blah. And he just looks at me in the eyes and he goes, let me tell you something. If you want to make it in this industry, you got to be ready to do anything. And he just like let that word hang, and he just looked at me like, And I was
creepy, right?
And I was like, that's not me, bro.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
And actually that was when I was introduced to the hospitality industry. I started waiting tables in the South Street Seaport in Manhattan. And
Nice.
I was like working at yoga studios just so I could take classes for free and shit. And I was like becoming more and more disillusioned with the acting industry. I had my theater company that we would do like original theater, write, produce, direct shows and act in those shows. And then in 2008, like at the end of 2008, after I graduated and all that, my dad had a major heart attack down in Miami. He was in the banking industry, and then the financial collapse happened, and like his whole life's work just got vaporized.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that a lot of their stories start in that 2008 crash.
Yeah, bro.
Because a lot
Yeah.
of the guys were in finance and like okay, it looks like we got to do something else
From
now.
scratch, you know. Yeah.
So you came back here.
He had a major
dad.
heart attack. I was like, all right, look, like, and at this time I was like romantically, naively obsessed with yoga and meditation and like Eastern spirituality, you know.
Right.
So I was like, all right, look, I'm gonna move down to Miami. I'll become a yoga instructor, and I'll focus on that, you know. And I wanted to learn more about meditation, and I found this little Buddhist temple called Zen Village. And the teacher, like, she was recognized as a master of Tibetan Karma Kagyu Buddhism, of Japanese Zen Buddhism, of Chinese Chan Buddhism.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like this lady is like, you know, the ultraviolet truth, you know?
Right.
And I went and talked to her, and I was like, what is your practice? Like, what's your root practice? And she was like, my root practice is tea. And
Were you like,
I was like, far out, lady. Can you teach me meditation? Like, because tea to me was like Gatorade. It's like, or Sprite. It's like whatever. It's just like, you know, something you drink. Like,
right. It's just like a little caffeine and
yeah.
there you go. Right.
But like, I knew that there were people that were passionate about wine. So I was like, okay, I guess this lady's passionate about tea. Whatever. Can you teach me meditation? Can you help me understand meditation? Like, I wanted to make sure that what I thought was meditation was actually meditation.
Right.
Because I came up with it while I was doing acid and shit, you know? She was like, yeah, no problem. And I ended up spending 3 years with her studying meditation and studying Buddhism. And like, you know, we were going on retreats like with like Tibetan masters and Nepali masters. And
So you were all in on this.
bro, it was like we would go on retreats 3 days. 3 days. Like the first day, you're only allowed to have water. The second day, no food, no water, no speaking.
No speaking.
Yeah.
Got it.
The only speaking you were allowed to do was like to recite mantras and meditate. And we do this thing called prostration. You'd like lay down on the floor and pick yourself up. We do 1,000 of those a day. No food, no water.
I'd be complaining the whole time, I'm fucking hungry.
It was madness, bro. It was like, but like, it accelerates these like transcendental experiences. So anyway, like that, like I became more and more passionate about like meditation and Buddhism, and I was practicing meditation at least 2 hours a day.
Right.
I was teaching meditation, but then when nobody would come, then the teacher would lead me directly one-on-one in meditation.
Right.
And that's like really rare to have like just one-on-one instruction like that over a prolonged period of time.
She didn't pull you got to be ready to do anything.
No. Anything. Dude. Oh, dude. It was
grimy
gross,
motherfuckers.
dude. It was gross, man.
So then how did the tifo?
So like what happens is like when I was at this temple, like I noticed that whenever anybody else made tea, it's just something that you drink.
Right.
But whenever my teacher made tea, like it was different. Whenever she made tea, like she would sit down at the table, she would grab the boiling water, and then the whole city would get quiet, and then she would pour the tea, and it was like, dude, whether it was a 6-year-old kid or a 70-year-old judge or a 40-year-old cop or a 30-year-old homeless person, whoever the fuck was in the temple, she would pour the tea and the whole city would get quiet. And then you take a sip of the tea and you get high. You take a sip of the tea and like the world would disappear. It was like and I, when I was in New York, I used to hang out with Rastas a lot.
Right.
And there was this ritual about like, okay, like take a big tobacco leaf, crush up some
blunts.
weed,
We
and
were
roll
all
it up,
blunts, yeah.
and we'd pass it, and like, like the conversations would go about like spiritual elements and political elements and how they interact, and it was like this ritual that had like this gravity. And I noticed that whenever Master Sai made tea, it was like that times 5. It was like just this like gravity that was like undeniable.
You weren't talking about nonsense like bullshit, social media shit. You were talking about real.
Dude, you weren't even
spiritual
talking.
stuff. It was just
because everybody was like, boom, like it was just this moment that like, I still like the words escape me. It's like there was the best that I can come to describing it is just like it felt like the whole city got quiet, not just the room. It felt like there was this like bell that would ring when you take a sip.
So when did that moment come for you? When did you have that moment where you're like, this is what I want to do?
So it's like it's interlinked with the meditation practice, because what ends up happening is that like, when I see that she makes tea in this way and that like this moment happens, I started just practicing it on my own. And she did this thing like it's crazy. She had never asked me to make tea.
Right.
And then one day this big Tibetan master comes, and he's like a big deal. He's like the North American leader of the Karmakagyu lineage, Khenpo Karta Rinpoche. He passed away now, but he initiated me into Buddhism. And when he comes, he like, it's like this huge moment. We're all like, we've been like getting ready for it for months. He finally shows up. He sits down. My teacher and him are talking in Chinese, and then she looks at me and goes, "Hey, Michael, make us some tea." And keeps talking to him. And I was like, what the like, you've never asked me to make tea for anybody.
Right.
You asked me to make tea for the tiger.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sick.
So you got just thrown into it.
Bro, and I just like, I grabbed her teapot, I grabbed her favorite tea, I grabbed all of her shit, and I just walked through the steps that I had seen her do.
Right.
You
By
know?
then you know what temperature and what.
I didn't know anything.
So you
I
just
had never made tea before.
So just based on what you saw.
Just
that's
based
what
on what I
do.
saw, I was like, okay, more or less like this, more or less like this, and then I think she goes like this, and I just did that and gave them the cups and ran away. Like, didn't even watch them take a sip. I was like, okay, that's the tea. I'm out. You know what I mean? And then I started practicing it on my own. Like, just, okay, like, what did she do step by step, and practicing it on my own. And then after like a year of practicing it on my own and like sharing it with friends, they'd come over, we'd like listen to records and smoke some weed. Oh, here, let me make you some tea. And make some tea for my friends. After like a year, then she was like, "Hey, Michael, it looks like you're trying to learn how to make tea. Like, let me actually teach you how to make tea." And then she broke down like step by step this practice called Gong Fu Cha. Cha means tea. Then Gong Fu is like the same word as Kung Fu, Kung Fu is the Cantonese, Gong Fu is the Mandarin. And what Gong Fu actually means is anything that you practice with attention to detail and with the goal of mastery, So there's Gong Fu to bartending, there's Gong Fu to being a sommelier, there's Gong Fu to being a chef, there's Gong Fu to anything that you practice with a goal of being a master of it. That's Gong Fu, And she taught me this system where like in Gong Fu tea, you don't use a scale, you don't use a thermometer, you don't use a stopwatch, you don't use a timer. You feel the tea and you come to understand the tea, and you time the tea by counting your breath so that you don't need anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And as such, because you like time it by counting your breath, then it integrates really easily with your meditation practice.
Right.
Then I started practicing tea with my meditation. And then I noticed that whenever I didn't have tea, meditation felt so much harder. Because it was like, sometimes like if your mind is racing, it's like, okay, my mind is racing too much. I don't have the patience to sit down and meditate. But it's like, oh, I can heat up some water.
Right.
Okay, I'll put some water to heat up, and then I'll keep on scrolling through my phone. I'll keep on like with the racing thoughts,
Yep.
But now when the water's boiling, like, okay, like my mind is too racing to sit down and meditate, but I can like count 2 breaths and pour some tea. Okay. 1, 2, pour the tea. Okay, drink it. And now after like just 2 calm breaths and like a little cup of tea, now my mind is more calm. Now, like if it's still too busy, okay, like I can brew another cup. And by like the 2nd or 3rd cup of tea, now I can meditate so much easier,
By this time, you know, have you found that this has already like changed your life in the last couple of years from like the time that, you know, from the LSD days to like looking for that piece?
I wasn't aware of it yet.
Right.
I was just like, okay, this is something that I practice to help with my meditation.
By the way, how was the tea that you made for the...
Bro, literally, I poured the tea, I put it on the table, and I was like, okay, and I ran away. Like,
No feedback? Like, this is the best tea I ever had?
No way, dude. I'm sure I'm sure it was like, I mean, like, it was really good tea.
Right.
Because my
leaves
teacher,
and stuff,
yeah,
right,
my teacher's mom was a princess of one of the Taiwanese ethnicities.
Jeez. All right.
So they would get like crazy tribute, like high level teas donated to them.
A lot of you know me from my F&B Miami page, but what you might not know is that I also run Florida's largest restaurant real estate brokerage called F&B Hospitality. Every week I meet somebody that thought that they could just wing it on a restaurant lease. And every week on F&B Miami, you guys see how that turns out. And that is exactly why I started F&B Hospitality Brokerage. We treat our clients' money like it's our money. We don't say things just to say it or paint pretty little pictures. We go based on facts and numbers. If we don't like a deal, location, or permit status, we are absolutely not afraid to tell you. It's about setting you up to last. So you could focus on food and foodies while we negotiate the build out and the terms.
So is this the point where you're like, I want to turn this into a business?
No, what happens is at this point, I'm still like romantically in love with Buddhism. I want to like work the path of enlightenment. I want to become a master. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's a produce money.
Bro, I was a fucking acid head yoga. I was like, fuck money, dude. like I was living off $200 a month. I was living with my parents. Who cares? Whatever.
Well,
like,
how old were you at the time? You were still in like
I was like 23.
Right, you were still in your
I was
You
really
didn't-
young.
You were searching, right?
Just got out of college.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I want to just, do this. And then like, but it like slowly started creeping in. That is like, if I meet a girl that I like, I want to take her to dinner. I'm like, okay, well, that's like my monthly budget.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Especially in Miami. I mean, it's...
Of course, man. Exactly. And then like, I started kind of realizing this. And as I was still practicing a lot of meditation. And then one day I had this experience that it was like, I was sitting down in meditation with my teacher. And it was like the exact same thing that happened on LSD that first time happened in that room. Like I was sitting and like all of a sudden like the walls became holographic. My teacher became holographic. And I felt like I just like merged with the space behind everything.
Sure they didn't spike it with anything? Or?
Maybe. If she did, it was slick. It was smooth. But like, yeah, this like deep meditation experience happened. And it was the same experience as LSD.
So that was the moment.
And I was like, oh my God, like it happened. Like I'm achieving this enlightenment. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the meditation ended and my teacher went like that to like, she like rang the bell to like stop the meditation. And then I was like right back in the room and I still couldn't afford a dinner. and I'm like talk to my friends and I'm like, bro, like I just had this experience. I just like merged with the fucking universe in meditation. And my friends are like, sick. And then I was like, what the fuck, bro? It happened. Like it happened. The thing happened. Like everything is supposed to be good now. You know what I mean? But everything was the fucking same. Like everything was the same. So I was like, okay, like I'm not fucking the Dalai Lama. I'm not like this fucking Buddhist master. I'm just a dude.
Right.
And I'm like, and I still can't afford to take a girl to dinner. You know what I mean? And I was like wrestling with that truth. And then I would run out of tea. And when I would run out of tea, I'd go to Whole Foods, I'd go to Fresh Market, and I'd go to Tivana, and I'd be like, look, I'm just looking for like straight up oolong, ideally like Taiwanese oolong.
Right.
And they'd be like, oh, well, we don't have that, but we have a samurai chai.
This generic
We have blackberry youth
Current
tea.
or whatever it is.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you people? Like, dude, I just want tea.
Right.
Like, and because like, okay, like, and to break that down, like not a lot of people know like green tea and black tea come from the same plant. And in the same way that the word wine comes from the word vine, and as such, it has to do with the grape historically, the word tea comes from an ancient Chinese word called dai. And that word is describing this one plant called Camellia sinensis. And that plant is where we get green tea, white tea, black tea, oolong tea, and pu'er tea. And like more rare categories called dark tea and yellow tea. They all come from this one plant. It's just a matter of what we decide to do with the leaves after we pluck them, and what is the process of removing the water in the leaf. That's going to determine what kind of tea it ends up being. Like I noticed that I couldn't find good tea, and I was like, well, you know, like the only friends of mine that I had that never run out of weed are the ones that sell weed.
Obviously.
So like, if I want to never run out of tea, I got to start selling tea.
Right.
And it's legal. So like, how hard could it be? I bet I'll be a millionaire in 5 years, you know? So I started Jojo Tea. And like
where did the name Jojo come from?
that's like a crazy,
I guess this is one of the biggest things a lot of people don't know. Where did the name Jojo come from?
Yeah. It's so when I was living in New York, my oldest sister had a baby,
Yep.
Andy, who's now 19 years old. And when he was like a year old, he was learning how to talk, and I wasn't there. You know, I was in New York, and they showed him a picture of everybody in the family, and they pointed to me, and they go, "Okay, Andy, who's this?" And he looks at the picture and goes, "Jojo." And the family's like, yeah, Jojo. And then they all start calling me Jojo. And at this time, I'm like an acid head. You know?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, that's Jojo, you know? So then everybody in my family starts calling me Jojo. And then my friends start calling me Jojo. And it's just like a thing, you know?
How many people actually come up to you on the street and actually think your name is Jojo?
Yeah, they're
Everybody,
like,
right?
they call me Joe,
Right.
you know? Whatever, it's all
You
good.
don't give a
It's a
shit.
family, bro.
Right.
It's like a family name,
Right.
you know? But then, like 4 years later, I was like, all right, like I want to start a tea company. I'm gonna name it Jojo Tea. Like I like the way it sounds. I like the way it looks, and so I named it Jojo Tea. Then, 6 months after that, I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's Chinese, and he's like, "Bro, why'd you name it Jojo Tea?" And I was like, "Ah, it's meaningless. It's a nickname that my nephew gave me." And he goes, "Oh, that's so sweet, man. You're teaching your nephew Chinese so young." I'm like, "Bro, what are you teaching him Chinese? I don't know Chinese." He goes, "You don't know what Jojo means in Chinese? It fucking means maternal uncle." And I'm his maternal uncle.
Wow.
You know? So
like
okay.
again, the universe kind of like.
Yeah, it's like crazy, bro. Like, I feel like you can't write that. You
So
know what I
now,
mean?
okay, like, you know what? I'm doing tea.
Oh, so then, like, dude, like, I'm sorry, Badia, the spice company, Badia. Pepe Badia, his wife was one of the, like, senior students of my teacher. So Pepe Badia would come to the temple a lot, and he was, like, one of the, like, sponsors and patrons of the temple. And I talked to him one day, and I was like, "Pepe, man, I feel like there's so much opportunity in tea. Like it's crazy. Like there's no pure tea on the market. Everything is this flavored stuff." And he was like, "You know what? I think you're right." And Badia is actually getting into a little bit of teas. And my assistant and I both went to the World Tea Expo this year.
What year was this?
This was like 2011.
Got it.
So then I learned, okay, there's this thing called the World Tea Expo.
That's the one in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
It's coming up now, right?
In March, yeah.
Right.
He's like,
You going this year?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I
Right.
don't think so. It's like, I mean, like, it was a really important thing at the beginning of the company to like really understand like the landscape of tea and like the landscape of the American tea industry and like who's who and what's what. But then once you have your path really clearly cleared out and like, you know, then it becomes more like a
sale, like everybody try to sell each other's shit.
Yeah. I think next year I might want to like send some of our team members because you learn so much about tea so quick there.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about it. Like you meet different producers, you taste so much product so quick. You can like just meet a bunch of people, taste a bunch of product.
But it must feel good that also that that culture is growing.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, well, but what ended up happening with Pepe is like, he's like, look, I went to the World Tea Expo with my assistant and we each got a bag and just come by the office because we have 2 bags. So I'll give you, and like that, I told Pepe like, oh, I think I want to start a tea company. And he gave me every wholesaler and distributor of tea in the US and their catalog. And I was like, all I knew was how to brew tea and meditate.
Right.
But I didn't know the name of any tea. I didn't know like the definitions of the categories. I didn't know shit about tea. I just knew how to brew it and meditate.
Right.
So I started looking through the catalogs just for like pictures of teas that looked familiar. I'm like, oh, okay, this is Silver Needle. I know I've tasted that. Okay. And order samples and order samples and order samples and order samples. And then the samples that I liked and that were like tasted like in the same neighborhood of what I had tasted with my teacher. Okay, what's the minimum purchase? And I started Jojo Tea with $2,000, man.
Wow.
$2,000, man.
But now, how did you incorporate the tea with the, you know, that vinyl skateboarding lifestyle?
Well, it's like, you know, when my friends would come over, like the thing that started it all, like when I would receive all those samples, you know, I would taste them, and then I would select the ones that I liked the most, and then I would invite all my friends over.
Right.
And we would listen to records and smoke weed and drink tea.
Right.
And we would taste 20 teas. We would, they'd get there at 8 p.m. We'd be drinking tea and listening to records and smoking weed until 4 a.m.
Right.
And that was like regular because we were 25.
Right.
It was chill. It was like fun. It was like
it's different.
Yeah. And when you and then it became that like when we didn't have tea, it's like, if you just like smoke weed and listen to music, sometimes the conversation just becomes like dead. But the tea provided enough like stimulation to like keep the conversation moving, and like the heat would keep us activated, and we would just keep on like going through. You know what I mean?
What kind of gave you the idea for the tea room for the first one?
Well, so like, so what? Like when I first started Jojo Tea, I was literally like selling, I was selling tea to friends of mine in a Ziploc bag.
Right. Like a weed dealer.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would write the
Label,
name, write the name of the tea on a fucking piece of computer paper and tape it to the bag.
Right.
Like.
I remember those bags.
And then Chocolate Fashion in Coral Gables. Like my mom used to go there every day. She gets in a conversation with the owner. She's like, "Oh yeah, my son is starting a little tea company," and the lady's like, "Wow, tea! I'd like to taste it." And my mom's like, "Hey, this lady wants to taste your tea," and I was like, "Okay." And I go over and I brew tea for her, and she's like, "Dude, like I've been in this industry a long time. This is by far the best tea that I've ever tried. I would love to sell your tea." And I was like, okay. Like I had never even thought that was possible,
Right.
And she's like, "Yeah, so just send me an invoice." And I was like, "Yeah."
I don't do an invoice.
Go Google what is an invoice.
Right.
Like I have no idea,
Right.
Go to Microsoft Word, invoice number 1.
Right.
Like, would you like to save? No. Like just no idea.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
She's probably the only one that's gonna ask me for one of these.
Yeah, and then I gave her the invoice, and I was like, "Yeah, all right, see you later." Like no like terms. I had no idea.
Contracts, anything.
No idea,
right.
bro. Like I was just like sick. This lady, and then I started realizing that like, wait a minute, like she buys my tea now. Every time that I go into her shop, I see my logo in teacups like all over the place.
Right.
Now, like all of a sudden, instead of like selling tea to one of my friends every 3 months, now it's like every day a multitude of people are exposed to the product and to the logo and to the brand.
Was that how you kind of like came in? Was by going into those local coffee shops and places?
It started with Chocolate Fashion.
Yep.
And then, like right after that, there's a spot down in like by Dayland Mall called Atelier Monnier.
Yep.
They started carrying our tea. I started talking to their owner Patrick, and then and this was like now we're getting into 2012.
Right.
And this fucking young kid wins Chopped, and he opens up this pop up in Coral Gables. It's called
Georgia.
Eating House.
Right.
And I walked in and I'm like, "Dude, that's the guy from Chopped, and this fried chicken and waffles. This is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life." You know what I mean? And I start talking to Giorgio, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm starting a tea company." He's like, "Tea? Let's do it." And then Eating House really like introduced me to restaurant culture in Miami.
Right.
Like who's who and what's what, and what is Michael's Genuine, what's a James Beard Award, what is like Chat Chow TV, what, you know what I'm saying?
Right. All the click.
Like what is this world? You know what I mean? It was like before Eileen was doing like cooking at people's houses and like having this like Korean Cuban mashup food. It was like, what is this world?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like
But you adapted pretty quick to that world,
dude, because it was like I fell in love with it.
Right.
It was so cool. It was so cool how like there's so many people enjoying it. And this was like 2012. So this was like LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh, Miami exploding,
Right.
Art Basel on fire,
Right.
billions of dollars coming into Miami. Just like, and then it's like the sexiest shit was happening in these restaurants.
right?
You know who else like put us on at the beginning? It was 50 Eggs, bro. John Kunkel and them.
Right. Because he had Yardbird.
Yardbird, the OG Yardbird, dude.
Right.
Like
the one on Alton, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And Iggy Garcia Menocal, he was their CFO. He started Grove Bay, and
Yep.
he brought us on with them
Awesome.
too.
Yeah.
So like we like we like I think it was just this moment, man. It was like in 2011, 2012, you had Eating House getting started. You had Panther Coffee just getting started.
right,
You had
Joel
Zach the
Ortiz,
Baker
right,
just
yep.
getting started. You had
Wynwood was like becoming.
Wynwood was the shit.
Right.
Wynwood was the coolest neighborhood in the world.
Right.
Pub Belly was just getting
That's right.
started.
And Dean, right?
It was this moment, like Michael's Genuine was on top of the world, like just won a James Beard Award.
Yep.
Michelle Bernstein was, it was
all
like,
the OGs.
dude, it was
Right.
like, it was such a, like Miami was like graduating,
Right.
And I think that like if it wouldn't have been in that moment that I was walking around, I was 25, bro,
Right.
a 25-year-old.
You think it was right
Huge,
time, right place?
man,
Right.
huge. I think that if it weren't in the same time as Zach the Baker and Panther Coffee and Eating House and Pub Belly, like,
Because you are one of those brands. You are one of those, when people think Miami local brands, people think Jojo Tea because you are that local. In all the category that you just put all of those chefs, you were that part of that too. You are part of that Zach the Baker, like,
it's honestly like, it's an honor, dude. It's an honor because I fucking love Miami, bro.
Right. Me
Like
too.
the more cities I visit, dude, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Taipei, I've been to Chongqing, I've been to Paris, I've been to London, I've been to Madrid, I've been to New York, I've been to LA. Bro, Miami is the shit, bro.
Right. I mean, Miami, listen.
Shout to Sweet Liberty.
I love our fucking community, man.
It's the best, bro.
The neighborhoods, the restaurateurs, especially when you're talking to that 2013, that's when everybody started fucking cutting their teeth, man. Like,
Of course, man.
that's when you started hearing, about a couple years later, but like the Boy a Day guys and, all these like little operators, you're like Mignonette and like, these guys are now getting bigger all at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Blue Collar was also 2011.
Right.
And there's this there's a chaos in Miami that like Miami feels more like Santo Domingo
Right.
than it feels like Jacksonville or New York or LA. It's like Miami has this like hot, wet Caribbean fucking sticky chaos that is like addicting almost, you know what I mean? It's not like anywhere else. And I think that like the fact that it happened here in that movement is what made it possible for us to like, there was so much passion.
Right.
Like Zach had so much passion in what he was doing, and Joe and Leticia, there was so much passion
Right.
in what they were doing.
But it was very clicky,
Fucking
right?
Neven moving
Right.
through the kitchen,
Right,
kitchen of
absolutely.
Michael's Genuine, like that kitchen of Michael's Genuine, fucking Devin Braddock and Dallas Wynn, like
Created real fucking
monsters
talent.
just
Right.
moving through that kitchen. You know what I
Right.
mean? There was so much passion and so much hunger. And it wasn't just about like, oh, I'm going to win a James Beard Award.
Right.
It was about, I'm going to put Miami on the map.
Right.
And everybody wanted to put Miami on the map. So there was this like real collaborative spirit. It was competitive at the
Right.
same time.
Absolutely.
Everybody was like,
Right.
it was like the NBA, bro.
Well,
like,
you also had Brad Kilgore and Alter.
Of course,
and,
man.
Later on, the fucking Chain Gang came out with Itamar. Like,
Of course, man.
All clicky and like.
yeah, but the
everybody
Chain Gang was doing shit back then.
Right.
They
Right.
were
Papa
just
Chang
in
was-
kitchens,
right.
quiet,
Right.
like sharpening their swords, bro.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
And
It's
then I
like,
feel like everybody came out at one time. Like everybody just started like ninjas. Everybody just started fucking jumping out of the. Where before it was like, oh, why can't we get something from New York, LA? I think Miami was like quietly like getting ready to launch this fucking attack of like local culinary fucking
this is
heroes.
us,
Like,
yeah, man, and then like New York and LA tried. A lot of New York and LA concepts came in and tried, and they like fell on their face because a lot of them came in with this attitude of like, oh, we're gonna go show Miami what real hospitality is. And then you go in and it feels like, bro, like this concept was made in an office.
Right.
This concept, like there's nothing organic about this concept. Like I think that what different, and we'll get into like how the tea room concept started, but I think that what differentiates Jojo Tea is that like the experience of like going to the Jojo tea room and like the music comes on and you're drinking tea and chilling, like it's all like an ongoing conversation and exploration about like what is the experience of tea when the quality of tea and the moment of the sip are valued above all else. Like everything else is fucking cream cheese. But the
that's,
thing
you just nailed it. Listen, every other tea that I drink, I drink a tea. I don't have a connection to it. I drink Jojo Tea. I feel like I'm in Miami. I feel like I'm drinking a quality product. Like I feel like everything that we kind of just talked about, the homies, like I get with your tea when I drink your tea.
dude, but like the quality is like the quality of the tea, because now it's like, now at this point, like I've been studying tea for 16, 17 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, like I understand tea fundamentally. I understand it's 6,000 years of history documented. It's
Right.
impossible to know like how long people have been drinking tea for.
Right.
Because the tea leaf it's biodegradable, So like it's impossible to know. We know that there was a tomb discovered 6,000 years old that had tea sealed in ceramics. So like 6,000 years ago, tea was at least valuable enough that this dude wanted to take it into the afterlife, you know?
It was one of the things he took with him.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's impossible to know how long before that people have been sipping tea.
Right.
So like, yeah, I think it's like, and from then, like there's been just like subtle, sober, careful, honest refinement.
Right.
Over years and centuries and millennia to arrive at these flavor profiles that like bing, bang, boom, like they hit different notes, they ring bells, bro, I have a story. I tasted the most expensive tea in the world. Like I
remember you telling me this
bro, I
story
had one
before,
sip
right?
of this tea. I tasted it for an hour.
Yeah.
You know,
you were just sipping, like slowly sipping.
Dude, it was a cup this big. I sipped it and I didn't taste anything for 3 minutes. And then after 3 minutes, every time I breathed out, the volume turned up a little bit for an hour. So
Right.
like when it hit its peak, it's like my whole body, the whole room tasted like fucking like prunes and leather and wet wood and tobacco and like,
Well, you want to talk about fucking West Point, bro. When I learned about tea, and I think when I met you, our homie, you know, David Morales, Demo.
Demo,
big
one
shout
love.
out to Demo.
Demo 305 all
Most
day, every
respected
day.
fucking foodie, attorney, influencer, fucking godsend, savior,
And
the
father
fucking
and
man,
husband
great
and
father,
friend
husband.
and brother.
We love you.
That's
I
a
remember
real one.
he's the one that I think introduced me to you, and I remember he took me to the tasting room the first time. He's like, "Bro, we're gonna drink some tea." I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Bro, you don't know." I was like, "Oh, we're just gonna go fucking." He's like, "No, we're just gonna drink tea." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so I remember he brings me to you, and we go to your fucking tea room, and that was the first day I learned that I knew fucking absolutely nothing. From the time of like, I was like, "Oh, me and you were talking." I was like, "Oh, I like tea." You're like, "Oh yeah, like, you know, what temperature do you boil the tea?" I was like, "What do you mean? I just fucking put on the fucking tea kettle when it's ready. I fucking." You're like, "No, you fucking burned it." I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Okay." And then you know, I remember, and then you taught me about, you know, after you take the sip, about the breathing. I was like, you gave me a fucking West Point tutorial on that. I was like, and then when people started coming over my house, it's like, well, no, you got to do it like this.
Yeah, you gotta sip it and breathe.
But that's so incredible, and you know, I think that there's still so much for you to grow, because just from the little bit that I got from you, I was like, shit, if I went to these, you know, ceremonies and tea rooms more, and like, you know, even learning about the actual types of teas, you know, like for example, for me, Jade Mountain's my favorite, you know, which you put me on to. And then, you know, once you started explaining the history and like the elevation of where it comes from, and like how things have to be a certain temperature or moist or like whatever it is, I was like, fuck, I had no, I mean, most people just don't know, right?
Of course. Well, I mean, the thing is that the tea is the teacher,
Right?
And the practice, because tea has this interesting paradox that it's a like the moment of the sip,
Right.
is what everybody thinks of when they think of tea. Oh, I'm gonna drink tea. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip. But there's a practice. There's heating water, and then there's brewing tea, and then there's serving tea, and then there's the sip.
Right.
And like this thing, like at the end of the day, the tea is the teacher. Like, because every time that you brew tea, if you're paying attention, if you're practicing Kung Fu, you know, if you're trying to like, wait, how can I do this a little better? Like, you brew the same tea leaves many, many times back to back.
Right.
Every time that I brew the tea, it's like, well, how did the last brew taste? Okay, then I taste this tea, and I'm like, okay, how did the last brew taste? How does this brew taste? Based on that, how am I gonna adjust it for the next brew?
Right.
So, and then if you brew the same tea 10 times, then you're getting 10 reps of practice of dialing in your Kung Fu. You
Right.
know what I mean?
So now, okay, now you're obviously you're in it, you know?
At this point, yeah, and another like shout out that I have to do is like to Steve Santana and Eric Saltzman in the OG Tequiza days.
Absolutely.
They were also in that movement, bro. Like I remember hearing about these blue tortilla chips, these blue tortillas. It's on another planet. And then I started selling tea to Tequiza. Dude, I felt like such a VIP. You remember like the OG Tequiza? Like on the bottom of that hotel on 16th Street or
Collins,
something?
yeah.
And like they had this parking lot
Where
underneath.
there's no fucking parking whatsoever.
Bro,
That thing was the worst.
They let me park there.
See, you got
Every
it. 'Cause
time.
I would have to
It
fucking
was
park.
I was like,
miles
bro, I
away.
made it. Like
Right.
every time I come into
That's
Tequila,
the
they'd be
VIP
like,
spot.
yo, come on. They would open up the fucking door and let me pull in there. And like I could block people. It didn't fucking matter. I could just park there and post up and have tacos and chips. Man, I felt like the
I missed
king
that place.
of the. Of
I
course,
missed that spot, bro. I
that
missed
shit
that
was
spot,
like
right?
that, dude. That was like, that was peak Miami Beach.
But that was
bro.
also, that's another OG that, like, you know, aside from like your formal chefs and the guys that were going for,
Macchialina, man.
I mean, Parolo, I mean, dude, we ran into each other at Stormy Monday the other day.
man.
Parolo was there too, you know?
Did you ever go to Bazzi?
No, I don't think so.
Dude, Bazzi, like
Where was it?
Parolo and Will opened up this restaurant called Bazzi.
Wait, sounds from, where was it? Was it Midtown?
It was on like
or-
12th and Washington, I want to
No.
say. And it was in the Marlin Hotel. And it was this rustic, fucking crazy Chinese
yes,
restaurant.
that's actually where I met Parolo.
Bro, you remember
Right.
that restaurant?
I think it was like in the Webster, next to the Webster. or
Right
something.
next to
Right,
the Webster.
right.
It was open for like 45 minutes.
That's right.
It was the best. Like one of my favorite.
That
like,
was where I met Parolo. That was,
Dude.
and people were like, dude, that guy's going to be the next big thing, man.
Will he brought in a Gong Fu tea service. And like
I don't think I ever
I
realized.
taught them how to use gaiwans. I did like extensive staff training, and they had like a tea service. They would come to your table with the tray, and they would do a tea service. It was like $30 to $70 depending on what tea you picked. And they were selling some tea, man. They were moving tea and doing tableside Gong Fu tea out of gaiwans. It was crazy, dude.
So at the same time, you're already now that you're doing what you love, you're doing it with your homies, and like all the homies, obviously, I know we're picking up your tea.
Yeah, and you know, we would all hang. A lot of the crew from Panther Coffee, like they would come over to my house. We would brew tea, like, you know.
They were Panther was carrying.
Yeah, they
stuff.
carried us for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I remember that was like because at that same time, I remember Panther really caught fire. Like Panther was Wynwood and
National
all the
and-
tourists and
yeah.
all the national. But you know, you come in and you see the JoJo like sign and the
Yeah,
teas
man.
and
It was that like there was a time that it was like family, dude. Like we traveled together to the SCAA show. It was just like, but then, you know, like just like time passes and business changes happen. We started working with a distributor that
Right.
carried Perla coffee, and like this just became like this kind of political tension. And,
Well, I guess that's
you
what
know.
always happens. But I know
but it's much love, man. Like I fucking love
I
Joel.
love those guys.
I love Leticia,
Yeah.
and I love what they did for Miami. I love how they changed the definition of coffee in Miami and
culture. They created a culture.
I'll always love.
I think a
them
lot
for
of
that.
people obviously imitated, and like, you know, we had that big coffee boom. Look how many fucking coffee shops came in the last like 8-9 years.
Of course, man. Of course.
Countless, you know,
Of
a lot of
course.
great ones, a lot of not so great, you know.
Yeah, but it's like, but you know, Joel was the head roaster at Stumptown. Like,
Right.
he knew his shit. He came in like with a 1920s coffee roaster set up in Wynwood, just unapologetically quality obsessed. I'll never forget in like 2013, they made me an Ethiopian coffee. I was always like, I don't care about coffee, whatever. I tasted an Ethiopian coffee called Suke Kuto in like 2013 at Panther Coffee. It changed my whole definition of coffee, dude. Like,
But I think more than anything, it also brought a culture. I think it brought, you know, what I like about Joel and Leticia in Panther, the brand in general, is that they also created, like, again, Wynwood, it was the fucking hood, man.
It was-
but they
yeah.
were welcoming everybody. It
Of
was
course,
like their
man.
coffee shop. You could be the fucking weirdo. You could be the fucking yuppie. You could be the developer. You could be the broker.
Dude.
Whatever it is. But everybody was there. And they
homeless
accepted
dudes
everybody.
sitting outside
Right.
making action figures out of palm leaves. Fucking Will sitting outside with a typewriter writing spontaneous poems.
Right.
It was like such a vibe, bro. It was like it was like
That's when it was the coolest, right?
was amazing,
Wynwood was
dude.
like with the art. That's when Basil and Art Walk and
exploded, dude.
Exploded.
And like Wood Tavern
Right.
and
With Caesar, yeah,
Lester's,
right.
and like it was just such a
Then
it
you
was
had
such
Gramps,
a moment, dude.
yeah, and everybody.
Of course,
yeah, it was
Gramps, man, like
Zach
yeah,
around the corner,
man.
Joey's Italian.
Yeah.
just so
Joey's
many good
Italian,
fucking
man.
places, man. you know?
Yeah, man.
It was okay. So
So to like then like bridge the gap from there into the tea room,
Right.
You know, like I was just focused on selling tea to restaurants and stuff, but then like now like we started actually growing to the point that we could sell tea to hotels,
Right.
And I was trying to sell tea to the setai,
that's the goal. That was the
bro.
goat at
and
the time.
I was like going to the setai, and
because
like,
it also fits it's luxury.
Of course, it's like Asian.
It's
It's like-
Asian. It's
and their director of F&B always just blew me off.
who was it at the time?
Robert Mueller. this German dude blew me off every time. I'm like, dude, like sending him emails, sending him samples.
Right.
One day I get a call from Robert Mueller. I'm like, hey, are you ready to talk tea for the Setai? He's like, I'm actually leaving the Setai. I'm starting this new project called The One Hotel. And I think that it really makes sense for your tea. I'd love to have a tasting. And I was like, okay, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
You came ready to play.
Bro, but it's like, and then at that time, it's like we didn't have a tea room. We had like, we were in the random medical building on Lejeune.
But that was my fucking jam.
Yeah.
But this is before you did the bookshelf and the library, like
It's
hidden
like,
wall.
it's what made us realize that it's like, okay, look, like if we're going to have like the director of food and beverage of hotels coming in and we're going to be doing tastings for these like high level chefs, like we can't be doing it in like a former doctor's office.
Right.
You know, we've got to like make something that elicits the same experience that I had in the temple, you know? And then that,
But you know what? From like a raver point of view, it was, listen, because I remember going to that office in Lejeune, and I remember pulling up. I was like, oh, this is just a fucking office building. But then when I came in, I was like, whoa.
yeah,
Like,
it was like people used to say that it felt almost dangerous. Like they felt like they were going to have like their organs harvested or something because it was this random ass medical building.
But then you walk in,
Then you walk in and it's like
magical.
when you walked into that room, like shout out to Mishi, this artist Mishi. She like made the walls. She did this treatment on the walls. She would come in every day and walk around the room in silence for like 20, 30 minutes. And then she'd be like, I'll be right back. Go downstairs and smoke a joint and then come back with 2 buckets and a spatula and just like splash some shit on the walls.
Gold. I remember it was like gold, right?
Yeah, it was gold
Copper,
and blue and
right.
copper and like concrete, like, and then she would say like, she would spend a day like just throwing shit at the wall and then be like, all right, I'll be back tomorrow. Because it was inspired by like, there's these rooms in Taiwan where they do charcoal roasting of tea. And when you roast tea, the caffeine leaves, some of the caffeine leaves the tea and it crystallizes on the wall.
Right.
So, and if you see these rooms where they've been charcoal roasting tea for 50 years, there's like these layers and layers and layers of crystallized caffeine on the tea and like different colorations. And like, it's just like the walls tell stories, you know? And like that really inspired me. And I thought that would be really dope to really dope treatment to like put on these walls, you know?
Right.
Mishi actually did the walls at Altar too.
Makes sense.
Yeah, remember?
The copper and like
these multi-layered. It looked almost like if they had like there was like a spot of rust on the walls, you know.
Well, at that time, what was the account that like you got into? You're like, I made it. Like,
bro, Michael's Genuine.
Michael's, right?
When I got into Michael's Genuine, I was like, all right, like that's it. You know what I mean? And like,
dude, he's
like,
the man, bro. Every time I fucking see that guy, bro, he's the just
legend, man, legend.
Still waiting for you for the podcast. I know you promised you coming on, so.
He's the best, man.
He's great. No, he's
and
great.
Like the love that he's always been so supportive. Like,
and the knowledge that he also like puts on and gives everybody a chance. And,
yeah, he's like the opposite of a gatekeeper. He's like that's Miami, bro. Like that guy has put on so many chefs. Michael Beltran,
right?
You know, like so many chefs have gone through him. Dude, remember the fucking Florida room, the Cypress room?
Yeah, of course.
The Cypress room,
which is Pepe's now. It was, but it was, you know, before
Old
that was
Greg's
Guy
and Guy.
Yeah, Greg's
dude,
and,
like that. Yeah, man, like just a legend, man, a legend.
Dude, he's made so much talent, and
of course, like Miami is like his city, dude. Like,
so is that the point where you're like, I'm the fucking man? Like,
well, I mean, it was when I started feeling like okay, like we're building something real here. You know what I mean? And then something like there's this company. There was this like my name is Michael Ortiz.
Right.
There was this girl that comes to our tea room and she's like, oh, look, I'm opening up like a yoga studio and I want to have a cafe in it and I want to have like a complete tea program. So like, can you please like walk me through your tea program? No. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I walk her through my tea program, walk her through all the teas that we carry and why, and like our entire tea catalog. And she's like, okay, cool. And then I don't hear from her for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden there's a new tea company called Ortiz, Orteas. And she's trying to sell tea to Panther Coffee. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, all right. Like, yeah, I guess like I have to be ready for like competition to happen. But fuck, bro, that's my name.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, there was never a moment of like, okay, I made it. Still to this day, it's not like, okay, I made it. It's like, dude, like tea moves so slowly. Like You got to heat water. You got to wait for the water to heat. Then you got to brew the tea. Then you sip it. Like, tea moves so slowly through the culture. But it moves quietly underground, you know? Like, the champagne is loud. The tea is underground, you know? And I feel like it's still happening. Like, I feel like we still have a long way to go, even just in Miami, not to speak of Broward and Palm Beach and Collier and Monroe. Like, we have a long way to go before we're like, before I made it.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I'm
I
saying?
mean, but tell me about 2019, because I think that was the year you won the Tea Master Cup.
Yeah, that was a big deal. Like, that like changed a lot of.
Tell me about
things.
that experience.
And I got to give a shout out to Adrian Nascimento of Admari Tea, because she also won. Like, there were two.
There was the right?
Yeah,
There was like two.
There was like one. So okay, let me explain. The International Tea Masters Cup is a competition where 27 countries compete, and each country has like a national championship to select their tea master of that country. And then they all go to the International Tea Masters Cup and they compete. And you get judged on like the flavor. First of all, like, you bring your own tea and your own teaware, and you brew your tea in your teaware. And then an hour before the competition starts, they unveil 5 different teas and their teaware. And you got to brew your tea in your teaware and pick one of their teas and brew it in their teaware. And then you get judged equal. You have to like give a presentation on why you picked your tea and why you picked this piece of teaware to brew it in, and then why you picked the tea that you picked and why and how you're brewing it in their teaware. You know what I'm saying? So actually, I brewed Jade Mountain. So like 2019 was the first year that America was invited to participate.
Wow.
In the Tea Masters Cup.
Yep.
And I went. And there was 2 categories. There was tea preparation, but then there was also a category called tea mixology, where you like use tea to make cocktails. And yeah, man, I went, and it was a crazy story, because like Jade Mountain is a high mountain Taiwanese oolong. It grows 2,000 meters above sea level. Shout out to the Ai family in Taiwan.
Shout out, bro. That's my fucking jam, bro. That's my favorite tea.
Grandma Ai is like, she's about 90 years old right now. She's been making tea her whole life.
Wow.
Her parents and grandparents are tea masters. Her daughters and granddaughters are tea masters. She's like the truth, man. She's the best, you know. She's awesome. But anyway, so like, because it grows at such a high elevation, it grows really slowly. So it has a really thick oil that's like satisfying. It tastes like almost like fresh peaches and gardenias, but it has a real thick mouthfeel.
Well, you know, on the Jade Mountain, you definitely taste it after. Like, even after you sip, for a while you taste it. Like,
yeah, that's like
and it changes. The taste changes
yeah,
all the time. Right?
There's these 2 concepts in tea. It's like, tea is not just how it tastes in your mouth; it's how it leaves your breath tasting and how it leaves your mouth and throat feeling. There's a
I almost
concept.
feel like I smoked a cigar. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just that like satisfying.
Of course, man.
Right.
There's a concept called hui gan, which means the returning sweetness. That it's like, how does it leave your mouth tasting?
Right.
And then there's a concept called une. And une is kind of like how it leaves your throat feeling. Like there's a feeling of like almost like a waterfall of oil going down your throat.
Right,
That's une. And that's like, you can't get that without like really healthy soil, really healthy tea bushes, masterful processing, you know?
So when you won, out of all these countries who've been doing it, I'm sure a lot of these people were doing it way longer than you.
Well, that was the American championship.
Right.
So it was just, it wasn't the international.
Oh, so it was just for the United States.
It was for the U.S.,
Got it.
you know? And like what happened is that.
But
like,
either way, I'm sure a lot of those people have been doing it for a long time.
it's just tea industry.
Right.
It's just tea industry, you know, because it's like the World Tea Expo was where it happens, you
Right.
know?
So winning that, what did them?
Well, I want to say the story because like when they showed the 5 teas, one of the teas is called Ruby 18. It's this Taiwanese black tea that is not roasted; it's dehydrated.
Right.
So it has like a tangy, like raspberry chocolate flavor profile, but it has a really cooling, almost like a peppermint mouthfeel because it's not roasted.
Right.
And I was like, okay, you have this like thick oil that's like floral and fruity of like fresh fruit of Jade Mountain. And when they introduced the 5 teas, I saw the Ruby 18 and I was like, that looks like Ruby 18. If that's
you could tell, like
by the
really,
leaves.
wow.
And I was like, if that's Ruby 18, then like I won this already.
Right.
And I was like, so like they introduced the 5 teas and like all the other people start bringing out like their thermometers and their stopwatches and their scales and they're like measuring teas to taste them and see which one they're going to pick. And I just like walk up and I grab a leaf of Ruby 18 and I put it in my mouth and I chew it, and I'm like, yeah, that's Ruby 18. Okay. And I knew that I won at that point.
Right.
Because like that combination of flavors is so dynamic that it's like, what the fuck? And then they're both from Taiwan. Jade Mountain is a very old school style. Ruby 18 is a very new style. It's a new varietal. I was like, oh, that's it. So I just ate the leaf and I walked outside and smoked a joint. While all the participants were like fucking freaking out. Like, so I went up, I gave the presentation, I brewed the tea. And then like the guy that was moderating it was Russian.
Nice.
So like at the end, when everybody lines up, he's like, okay, the winner is Michael Ortiz. And I was like, and he looks at me and he goes, okay, so you.
Was it like that you didn't like?
He said like Michael Ortiz.
Oh, it wasn't just accent.
And I'm Mike Ortiz, bro. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like,
me?
All right, I guess somebody else won. I was like, whatever. And then he's like, so you. And I was like, oh, shit.
At this point, you're already confident. Like that.
Yeah. But then, like whatever. So then that happens. And then Adrian, she won the mixology. Right. And she's from Miami.
Right.
So Miami.
We know Adrian.
Bro, Miami swept the Tea Masters Cup.
Right.
Which is amazing when you consider like how young of a city Miami is. Miami's reputation. Miami's a city of cocaine and alcohol. No, we won the Tea Masters Cup. We swept it, bro. Like that's like.
And it was like Miami swept it.
I love it.
Right.
I love it, man.
So now you're catching even more fire.
And now I'm the national champion of tea. Like now I won the Tea Masters Cup. So when people call me a tea master, I'm not supposed to be like, I'm not a tea master. I'm a fucking student. But it's like,
nah, fuck that, bro. You should carry like a WWF belt with you.
I have
like,
one,
really?
bro. Yeah. Alex Bistritz, like he used to be a barista at Panther Coffee.
Yep.
They gave me the trophy, and it's like this little piece of glass,
right?
And like
I get like a teacup?
It's like a little diamond made out of glass. It's like this big. I get back to Miami, and like all my friends are like, bro, you won. I can't believe it. Let me see the trophy. I show him the trophy. I show my friend Alex the trophy, and he's like, okay. And like a month later, bro, he walks up to the fucking tea room with a championship belt that says Jojo Tea, undisputed tea master.
I fucking
And it has like
it.
a manatee and an alligator and a
That is amazing.
and a dolphin and an ibis. And he's like, bro, this is the trophy. I was like,
you know what? That's very thoughtful.
He's amazing, bro. He's one of my closest friends in the world, man.
I mean, that for me, that's a real trophy.
Of course, it's amazing.
So now, okay.
So real quick to finish the Tea Masters, because then like the International Tea Masters Cup, the World Championship was gonna be in Shanghai, in Chongqing, in Sichuan Province, in December of 2019. But in December of 2019, there was this crazy virus that starts taking over China. And then, then it's delayed. It's going to happen maybe in Shanghai in 2020. And that's when the world shuts down. Right. And then...
but now you just started this new company and you're catching fire. And you're like, what did you hear? Like, what were you like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like,
I mean, like, dude, it was like, honestly, like it was terrifying. Like I went into like a really deep depression. Right. I built a machine. I built a machine to sell tea to restaurants. All the restaurants closed. Like 85% of our revenue is gone. Like,
and me and you started hanging out a lot during that time. But I remember you were down, but I remember at the same time, you didn't let it get to you. In fact, I remember getting that call one day and you're like, bro, I'm ready for a spot. I'm ready for another spot. And I'm like, are you sure? We don't know what or when. Like, I know that you've told me you had orders canceled because restaurants were closing down. And I remember you were like, bro, everything's going to be fine. Because I believe it's going to be fine. And against even like, listen, and I'm the one that tells restaurants when I think that, maybe now's not the best time. I remember like, Mike, maybe now's not the, and you're like, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get an inexpensive place. I'm not going to take too much chance, but I'm going to move forward because everything is going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, that was the time that like shout and much love to Tico Arang. That was when I broke up with my former business partner. Right. And he moved into Radiate Kombucha with his wife Susan, and big shout and love to Radiate Kombucha. Yep. But I had like just broken up with Tico, and it was like the world had ended. We were like the PPP had like saved us from going under. Right. And it was like, all right, dude, like now it's time to get scrappy, dude. Like we had one employee. It was like it was crazy. There was something also beautiful about it because it's just like I did everything. You know, I packaged every bag of tea. I took every order. I did everything. But it was like the scariest time, dude. I started that was like, I think that my life really changed then because that was when I started going to therapy.
Yeah, right.
And that was when I started like really like exploring like why was I so depressed and why was my identity so wrapped up in like, you know, like riding the highs of like this like Miami restaurant industry, this like South Beach Food and Wine Festival, this Art Basel, all this like.
Because you invested a lot of time, man.
It was
took
my
a lot of
life,
risk,
bro.
right?
It was like 24 hours a day, like literally, like, you know, we were hanging out with these until 15 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? It was like whatever it takes. Like I just like need to like understand this scene and really like drink it. You know what I mean?
But I remember, I mean, we looked for a space for you, and you know, we found you a fucking gem in Mimo. It was like we fucking stole that thing. And in a great neighborhood. And
I mean, it was just it was such a risky time.
It was just a risky time.
So it was like, you know, it was like, because I'm honestly like, at the end of the day, dude, I'm really grateful to like have that space. I'm grateful to our landlords. Like, you know, it's like, it was, dude, we negotiated that when in July of 2020, dude, July of 2020 was the end of the world.
It was, yeah.
You know?
I mean, luckily Miami was the first to open up. So it was.
Yeah, but July of 2020.
No. Because it was the summer and fucking COVID.
It was still like, dude, like you didn't know, you know? And so like, I think that like we were able to get really friendly terms based on that all the way through 2030. And thank God, you know, we survived that. And like, we've continued to grow since then. And like, and then, you know.
Well, I remember you were also, I remember like during COVID, I remember like, I think right before COVID, you like, I think you were meeting with like Richard Branson's team with Virgin.
Yeah.
And like, I remember all that shit just got put on pause. You were like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, yeah, like, because actually it ties back to the one hotel. Like their original director of beverages, one day he calls me and he's like, dude, I'm leaving the one hotel. I was like, no, man. And he's like, yeah, but I have good news. I'm going to become the director of beverages for Virgin Voyages.
Wow.
And I want to bring Jojo to Virgin Voyages. Because like when he came to that tea room, to our old tea room, and he drank tea with us, he's like, dude, I've been in the hospitality industry for a long time. You have the best tea company in the country. Like, and
it's true.
We're
nobody's blowing smoke in your ass. You really are. And also, I think you know, aside from the fact that you're a local Miami brand, you do it better than anybody. And you're in the food. You're not a corporate machine that tries to protect you. You're you. You've always been you.
Because it's dude, like tea is so subtle, bro. Like, come on, I hate, honestly, I fucking hate like when you look at like tea companies' content,
right?
And you go to like a tea room and they're just like playing spa music, and it's so safe and it's so dull and it's so like, dude, just make one decision. Make at least one decision that you can stand behind. And like, dude, like, I just feel like it's like this whole thing started with an acid trip for me. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit and pretend that we're a Zen Buddhist temple. It's like, bro, we're in Miami.
Right.
It's hot. It's fucking sweaty. It's like let's be honest here, dude. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that's what kept you always ahead of everybody else, is the authenticity that you bring to the table.
Well, thank you for saying that, man. I think it's all we have at the end of the day, man. You could have all the money in the world, but if you lose your fucking center, if you lose your heart, if you lose your soul, dude, it's like who cares, bro? Who cares? I'm not trying to hang out at Houston's, bro.
Right. So now, okay, like
with all due respect to Houston's, but like I'm not trying to fucking. I would love to see
Jojo in Houston. So I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I would love to see it too.
We'll work on it, bro. We're gonna work. So what's next for Joe? What's next for Mike Ortiz and Jojo?
So yeah, it's like a couple different things. So like, you know, then because that leads into like the tea room concept, and like, you know, when COVID happened. And I started like, you know, and all the restaurants closed, but people were still looking for stuff to do. And like once Miami started opening up, it was like there was this like gray area. And like actually like during like the black hole of COVID, like one of my friends, Gabe Urrutia, shout to Gabe.
Gabe, he gets brought up a lot on the show.
Dude,
almost every week he's the fucking man.
He's the spider web of Miami.
He's the man, bro. He's the fucking connector.
He's like, yo, Mike, are you doing tastings at all? I was like, nah, man, not really. You know, it was like, you know, COVID. He's like, dude, I have this friend in town. He's a comedian and he's really into making cocktails. I've been telling him about you. He really wants to meet you and maybe make some cocktails together. I was like, I don't know. He's like, bro, have you ever heard of Eric Andre? I was like, bro, where are you at? Like, I've been a fan of Eric Andre since 2012. Like, where are you at? I'll be there. Like, and like that night we went to Gramps. Yep. And it was just like Adam.
Yeah, Adam's boys with him too.
It was fucking Adam, Gabe, Eric Andre, myself, and this rapper Fat Tony.
Yep.
And shout out to Fat Tony. And we drank tea and made cocktails until like 4 a.m. And we were the only people in Gramps. And there was this like really cool energy of just like homies drinking tea, talking and connecting and like hanging out, mutual respect all across the table. And I was like, damn, like this is interesting because it's like slightly different than just like me and my homies drinking tea in my apartment.
Right.
But it's like cool, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we had also started doing partnerships with music festivals. We did like a little pop-up at 3 Points. We did a pop-up.
I remember that. It was a great.
The first, I'm talking like 2014.
Right.
They gave us a shipping container and we turned it into like a Gong Fu tea room.
Yep.
And like, you know, it was like right outside the main stage.
Yep.
So like the walls were shaking. Like literally we would put a cup on the table and the cup would shake. And then when you would fill it with tea, then the cup would stop shaking. You know, There was this like really cool moment of peace happening in the middle of the chaos. The first Okeechobee Music Festival, we like set up a tea festival, like a tea forest rather, and we were pouring tea. We had Gong Fu tea going from Wednesday night to Monday morning, 24 hours a day.
How was that?
The best.
What did you think of the Okeechobee Music Festival?
I mean, bro, the first one.
Yep.
Kamasi Washington, Kendrick Lamar, Robert Plant, Miguel. It was like it was amazing, bro.
Right.
It was amazing. And then like Otto von Schirach and like Telekinetic Walrus, like Miami homies putting out shit. Ray and the Moksha crew had their own stage, so it was like there was a Miami like brotherhood there.
Right.
And like and we had this tea forest where like anybody would come in and sit down, and if you'd come in and sit down, somebody would automatically bring you a cup of hot chai. And it was like hot chai with almond milk and maple syrup in it.
Right.
So it was like, bro, it was beautiful. It was like, and then we also had a Gong Fu tea table where like if you wanted to drink some proper ass tea, you could come to the table and drink some real good tea, you know?
Right.
It was amazing. It was like, and it was brewing tea all night, like, and seeing this experience, like it made me think differently about the tea experience. Because like we had this girl that worked with us, Nan Nan.
I remember her. I loved her.
Yeah, Nan Nan's from the Yunnan province,
Yeah.
and she's like,
She was great.
Yeah, man. She's getting her PhD. She's a professor in Yunnan, and she like.
I was sad when she left. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, dude, I was fucking sad when
Yeah,
she
no,
left.
I remember.
I was like, you know, but she helped us so much, man. But anyway, she she would kind of laugh at me. Because like when she first joined us, I was like, you know, doing tea and meditation and she's like, dude, like, relax.
Right.
Like when we drink tea, like I'm drinking tea, watching TV. My dad is drinking tea and he's smoking a cigarette. My mom is drinking tea on the phone with her friends, and we're not like having this like moment of zen. We're just drinking tea,
Right.
and it's just part of our lives, you
Right.
know. And it made me think about like, okay, like, what does the opposite extreme of the meditation look like?
Right.
What if we throw it into music festivals? We also did like, what if we do more pop-ups? We did a pop-up at a spot back in the day called Salad Oz in downtown with Ernie and Gina, and we did like, and it was crazy. It was our first ever pop-up.
Right.
We called it TO5.
Yep. TO5. I love that.
Bro, like
That's
400 people showed
Wow.
up.
Okay.
It was like,
So obviously the demand is there.
we were slanging tea like we couldn't pour it fast enough. You know, it was crazy.
So let me ask you a question. You know, again, it's funny you bring up the Okeechobee Music Festival. You know, my wife is actually in the middle of buying a farm in Okeechobee.
Oh, dope.
To do like a wellness retreat.
Oh,
You know,
beautiful.
based on like what you see in terms of like everybody now being super into wellness and do you find that like that is the future?
I honestly I'm super suspicious about it.
Tell me why.
Because I feel like there's nothing to like, bro, like for me, it was my life every day, all night for years, you know? And like when people, there's this thing called like performative spirituality, you know, when people want to like put themselves on and people want to fucking like dress like Aladdin and act like they're the Dalai Lama.
Right.
It's like, bro, like,
pa allá, like tú pa allá, bro. I'm just like, you go over there, I'm gonna stay over here. Good luck. I feel like it's like spirituality and
No, but I don't mean from the spirituality side. I mean more of like the, you know, do you feel that like the wellness industry is now going to push teas and that kind of?
I don't. I mean, like, I feel like it's like I don't take anything for granted. Like it's like I feel like we need to do. There's still a lot of work of education that needs to happen. The numbers seem to say so.
Right.
The numbers seem to say so because like matcha is on fire. Like it's absurd. Matcha, like we started selling matcha in 2014. Right. It took us a year to sell 2 kilos of matcha in 2014. Right. Last year we sold 3 kilos of matcha a day.
Right.
It's so there's like the fire of matcha, and then there's every day people are seem to be drinking less and less alcohol.
Right.
People are looking for new things and experiences that are still like culturally rich and organic. And like, do I think or count on tea being the answer? No. But I feel like we need to be ready for it to be, and we need to just educate about tea. And it's like, because I feel like, to finish the thought real quick, it's like, I think that like tea is like for people that pay attention. Tea is too subtle. Like tea doesn't yell at you, bro. Like coffee yells at you. A ginger shot yells at you. Like tea just whispers. And like, if you're not listening closely, you'll walk right by. And tea is not going to say, hey, you missed me. No, tea is like, okay, maybe on the next lap, you'll catch me.
Right.
Tea is very quiet, and I feel like it's like I want to be true to that spirit of tea. I don't want to be fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to count on like this wellness revolution no. Like I want to just stick true to like the best tea possible, the most true experience of tea possible, and people will find us. You know what I'm saying?
But what about like in terms of that getaway place? Like in terms of, you know, listen, me, you know, the reason why, like, I love that my wife is buying this farm is like, you know, sometimes, you know, Miami gets a little much and, you know, sometimes you need that place to go and to like escape to, where it's more of like the retreat than like the wellness thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, how hard is it to like grow tea on a farm?
Oh my God.
Like, what do you need to do, or what kind of soil, or what kind of,
it's like, so like, if you talk about growing, that's like, hard. Like in Miami, it's like in Miami, it's the thing is that Miami's flat,
right,
and it's at sea level. So like like if you can figure out soil drainage, right, because like the best tea grows on mountains because the water runs down the mountain,
right.
So it just touches the roots and then keeps going,
right.
But like in Miami, everything's flat, so the water just pools up and that like drowns the leaves.
Right.
I've tried to grow tea bushes like several times. They've all died.
The hydroponic style.
It's hard, man. It's hard. Like I'm not good at that. Like it's like the world of farming tea is a world. Then once you have a tea, like most teas come from this part, the bud and the first 2 leaves.
I love that. Right.
Like once you pluck that bud and the first 2 leaves, that's a world of processing that people spend lifetimes, generations mastering, you know?
Right.
Then once you have that plucked tea, like the world of like selecting the water and heating the water and selecting the ceramics and making the experience around the tea, that's its own world. And that's my world. You know
I know
what
that you spoiled us with some tea today.
Oh, yeah, man.
Which I cannot fucking wait to try. What did you bring for us today?
So I brought this green tea. It's called ganlu, which means sweet dew. It's early in the day, so I figured like I just had some coffee. I figured you would have
Obviously,
just had
I'm
some
on
coffee.
my 4th cup, yeah.
So I figure that like a green tea, like for reasons that we'll get into, green tea, like when you drink it, if you brew it right, you know, the tannins can be soft, so they don't like attack the stomach.
Right.
And the caffeine is released over 2 hours. So like, but caffeine in coffee is released over like 20 minutes. So like
but
if you
for
drink,
people that don't know, like for people who like, you know, I used to be like in terms of like, because, you know, you do the thermometer thing and, you know, I know Demo's big on the thermometer thing because a lot of people don't know that like if you just put in like a tea kettle, you could burn the leaf, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like the tea leaf is full of tannins,
right?
Right. Just like the skin of the grape.
Right.
And tannins are like a spider web-like molecule with a bunch of stuff in it, with caffeine and L-theanine and amino acids all inside of it. You know, antioxidants are all inside of the tannin. But the tannin almost like it has like sharp edges that dry out our mouth and taste really bitter.
Right.
So if you hit the green, if like green tea is not like black tea, for example, the leaves are plucked and then they're rolled and bruised and then they're allowed to sit and oxidize,
right,
like an apple turning brown when you slice it.
then they're roasted, and that oxidation and roasting breaks down the tannin. So if you're making a black tea or an oolong tea or an aged tea,
right,
you can hit it with boiling water, no problem.
Right.
But for green tea, it's not oxidized. It's just plucked, cooked, and dried really quickly because they're trying to capture that like raw, fresh flavor.
Right.
So if you hit that with boiling water, then you over extract tannins, and then that like breaks your saliva, pulls the water out of your saliva, goes into your stomach, dries out your stomach, fucks up your digestion. It causes headaches. It's like not, and if you have it on an empty stomach, it'll like destroy your day.
What do you think the biggest benefits of tea are?
Oh man.
I like the way you smile when I ask that.
Because it's like there's like the chemical side,
right?
And it's like that's where people always go. But I think that's like the benefit of tea. Okay, there's like a Chinese book of Chinese encyclopedia of herbs, right? Came out 2737 BC, and it mentions tea, and it says that tea is the emperor of all medicinal herbs. It brightens the eyes.
Right.
So what does that mean, right?
Right.
The emperor of all medicinal herbs. You think, oh, it's gonna like make my liver strong and my kidney strong. No, it brightens the eyes. I think that it's like we'll talk about like the health benefits because there's a lot of health benefits. But I think that like in my experience, it's like the healthiest tea is the tea that you like the best because that's the tea that you're gonna enjoy drinking. And like to get the health benefits of tea, it's about steadiness. It's about making it part of your lifestyle.
Right.
Then you have like the caffeine, which stimulates you, and you have the L-theanine, which relaxes you. And you have both things happening at the same time.
Right.
So you're awake, but you're not jittery, and you're relaxed, but you're not drowsy. You're clear-minded.
Right.
That's the biggest health benefit of tea, in my opinion. Now, beyond that, it's full of antioxidants, so it's going to feed your white blood cells and make sure you don't get sick. It has essential oils that combine with the tannins to break up fat in your body. So it helps with losing weight. It helps with lowering blood pressure and cholesterol. Then it also is full of amino acids. So it's going to turn more of the food that you eat into usable protein.
You think tea culture could ever catch up to coffee culture?
I mean, I think they're just fundamentally different, man. Right. They're fundamentally different. I think that like, in a way you could say like, people have been drinking coffee like by best estimate since like the 1600s.
Right.
Tea is 6,000 years, you know,
right.
like right at this moment, literally at this moment, there are, safe to say there's over 1 billion teacups sitting on tables all around the world.
Right. That's a good point.
You think coffee culture will ever catch up with tea culture?
No, I mean, listen, London, tea is part of their whole fucking thing, right?
It's worlds, dude. It's like, I think that like, we have to recognize let's go into that because we were introduced to tea in America through the British lens, right? But the British lens of tea, like with all due respect to the Brits, it's like it comes from a lot of misunderstandings. Right. Like the British were first introduced to tea in the 1600s. They thought that tea was a magical medicine because the people that would drink the tea wouldn't catch the plague. But they were the only ones boiling their water. So that's the only reason that they didn't catch the plague.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So they thought that the tea was like this magical medicine and they thought like, look, the quality of the tea doesn't matter. It just has to be what's the plant that these people are making tea out of. Because then they start like China was only accepting payment as silver. So they start sending all their silver to China in exchange for tea. Now they're going broke. They don't have any more silver. They start growing poppy in India, processing it into opium and smuggling it into this one fishing village. Once the fishing village is kind of destabilized, they invade and they take it over. And the emperor of China says, okay, look, you can keep that fishing village and use it to trade. But if you go outside, we're going to come after you.
Right.
That becomes Hong Kong. Then they send spies into China to learn what is tea, what is the plant, what's the processing. Okay, we understand the plant, we understand the processing. Let's take it back to India, turn all the poppy fields into tea gardens.
Right.
And just like, again, like the quality of the tea doesn't matter. It just needs to be the medicine.
Right.
So they like took like all of the art of Chinese tea, stripped it to its minimum that like was so bad that you have to have it with milk and sugar to make it taste any good. Then they send it to the colonies and it's like, okay, now we're getting taxed for this bullshit product that represents British aristocracy, but we don't have representation in Britain. You know what? We're going to do a revolution. And then like the Boston Tea Party happens.
Right.
And like, so from the beginning, the American experience of tea is tied in with aristocracy and colonial oppression and like fuck the man and like going against authority, you know, like it's like,
so it was the rock of fucking, you know, of like, beverages, man.
Yeah, but it's like like, yeah, all that to say is like there's a reason that like we don't have a lot of tea culture in America, and much more in Miami, bro. In Miami, there are 18 Chinese people in Miami.
That's true.
You know, like we
I mean,
don't have
a formal Chinatown.
We don't know, man. It's like we have 163rd Street.
Right.
You know, like
that's why we have so much bad fucking Chinese food.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah. Shout to Double Luck though.
Double Luck, bro. That's our fucking jam.
But like,
but me and you were even talking, like, you know, before this, me and you were like bullshitting a little bit, you know, about even getting tea like into America might be a problem because, you know, between you know, China and
yeah. It's like it's really tricky, man. It's really delicate because it's like but it's like it's not just China. It's also like our glorious leader and his tariffs, and like our president Eric Cartman. Like, you know, his making foreign policy decisions on tweets and then enacting tariffs, you know, it's like, it's interesting because it's such an international industry,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, there's so many, I just have to accept that there's so many factors that are just simply beyond my control. And like, if I want to, I just got to do the work to figure out how to get the best tea in the world and make it available. And that's it. That's
because
all
I mean,
do.
some of it, you know, obviously some really good tea comes from Taiwan, and you know, obviously there is some beef going on with China and Taiwan. But you know, I remember you telling me that like based on who you speak to, you know, that some Chinese people believe that Taiwan is Chinese, you know.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, there's like it's tricky, bro, because like I have a lot of respect for humanity, bro. I have a lot of respect for the people of Taiwan and their identity. I have a lot of respect for the history of China and their identity, and I can't lose sight of the fact that I'm a Cuban dude from Miami, like that. And like as such, I feel like it's like not right for me to sit here and like give opinions on it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just not right, man. Like I have a lot of respect for both sides, and like I need to like,
you got to just figure out how to get the fucking tea.
Yeah, man. Like I feel like it's like there's always powerful psychopaths and sociopaths who's like, have you ever heard the song called The Fletcher Memorial Home by Pink Floyd?
No.
Talks about like how great it would be if you could just make a mental asylum and then take all the world leaders and just put them in that mental asylum.
I thought that's what Pink Floyd's Brain Damage was about.
Well, that's Sid Barrett. I'm talking about like, yeah. But like, it's like there's always gonna be these like sociopaths, these psychopaths whose ego, like who believe that the world is a temple to their ego.
Right.
And it's like the story of humanity at the end of the day is us figuring out how to maneuver around them to like have moments of peace, moments of joy, moments of love, moments of connection, moments of deliciousness with our friends and family and with strangers. Like, and like that's the world that I need to focus on, man. It's like what right now at this moment, the Chinese Navy has Taiwan surrounded. That's terrifying to me because like, not just because of the tea. Like I have friends there. I have real people. Grandma Grandma I is making tea by hand. She's fucking 90 years old, you know, like, and her daughters Fang and I, like these are real people, bro. These are real people. And it's like it's crazy to think that like, you know, the definitions of nationalism by Vladimir Putin are going to affect so many people. Right. The definitions of nationalism by Donald Trump, by Xi Jinping, by all of these like people is just like, you know, it's like I can't get like, it's like, dude, I'm heating water, I'm making tea, I'm serving it, I'm drinking it, and I'm making that as easy as possible and without compromising on quality.
Right.
And that's the only thing I can do, bro. That's the only thing I can do. But like that moment of peace of the sip makes it worth it to me, you know?
Speaking of the moment of the sip, what are the odds we get some tea and then maybe we go over a little top list?
Let's do it.
All right. A moment from our sponsors.
Look, as a business owner, I'll be real with you. Running my brokerage takes all my time. And in Miami, if you're not showing up online or on social media, you just don't exist. That's why I've worked with Sage Marketing Studios from the very beginning. Website, social, even this podcast. They're the ones behind the camera. Building strategy, keeping it consistent, and making sure my brand looks like it actually belongs in the city. So just a tip. Stop having your cousin post blurry iPhone pics once every 3 months. Hit up Sage Marketing Studios. You can find them on Instagram at socialmedia.sage and tell them Felix sent you.
And now we're back. And today, unlike most episodes, we have a special treat of Mr. Ortiz treating us to not some of, but the finest Jojo Tea on the market.
Yeah, we're so this is a green tea, and I think that this is a good time to kind of like discuss, just so that people understand like what are the differences between the different categories of tea.
Drop that fucking knowledge, bro.
Word. So, first, okay, they come from the same plant, and right now, like, so this is boiling water, and boiling water is a little too hot to make green tea. So I'm gonna pour the boiling water into this glass, and like, you know, if you have like glass or clay or ceramics, glass loses temperature the most quickly. So it's a good idea to brew your green tea or white tea, these like fresh unoxidized teas, in glass, and they'll lose temperature quickly.
Got it.
So if you understand black tea, then everything else is a lot easier to understand. So I think like we should start with black tea before we get to what this tea is.
Hit me.
So the definition of black tea is fully oxidized tea leaves. Here, you can smell.
Amazing.
Right, really clean.
Yeah.
A little sweet.
But you could smell it, like unlike a lot of black teas, which are like generic, like bullshit. Like you could really, even the cleanliness of it, like you can smell it.
No, yeah. Well, so this tea is called Ganlu, which means sweet dew.
Right.
So, and it's from Mungding Mountain. It's like the mountain where they invented modern green tea, pretty much.
So not like Lipton, right?
Nah, man, nah. You know, Lipton was a butcher.
I did not know that.
The OG, like Mr. Lipton, he was a butcher, and he like put a little tea stand in his shop, and he started selling tea, and it started flying. And he was like, "Bro, cutting off all these cows takes so much time. Let's just sell tea." And he became that's how.
Really?
Yeah, that's how Lipton started.
Well, what time period was that in?
I think it was in the 1800s in
Wow.
like Scotland. I think so.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So now what's the normal kind of waiting time?
So, well, I mean, like for green tea, it's like green tea we brew in glass.
Right.
Right. So I really don't like telling people like, oh, brew it for 2 minutes, brew it for 3 minutes, brew it. No, it's like use your eyes.
Right.
Look at it. You'll see the tea leaves open up as they infuse with water. And then once the leaves look like leaves again, then that means that the tea is ready.
Right.
You know? So we'll just take a look at it. But so to go back to what I was saying, so like the definition of black tea is fully oxidized tea leaves.
Right.
That means that the leaves are plucked and then they're rolled and bruised. When you roll the leaves, you burst the veins. So all the oil and the juice in the vein starts bleeding into the leaf.
Right.
Then that accelerates the oxidation and the leaf starts turning brown much more quickly. And once the leaf gets as dark as it can get, then it's considered fully oxidized.
Right.
Then the leaf is roasted. That caramelizes all the sugar and removes the water. Okay? The definition of green tea is that it's not oxidized. It's just plucked, cooked, and dried as quickly as possible. Okay?
Yep.
So if green tea is 0% oxidation and black tea is 100% oxidation, then there's a whole spectrum in between, right?
Right.
That whole spectrum is oolong tea. So like Jade Mountain is a lightly oxidized
Right.
oolong tea. But then like Wu Yi Mountain, charcoal roasted oolongs, and Oriental Beauty are more thoroughly oxidized
Right.
oolongs, right? So like lightly oxidized oolongs will look like green or yellow. Then they'll become a little bit more yellow with orange and mid oxidation. And then once they get to like heavy oxidation, they'll look more red.
So which one's the indigo? Which one's the sativa?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, so like there's a category called dark tea. Because like what we call black tea in America,
Right.
they call red tea in China. Because
Yep.
they have a different category of tea that's fermented.
Right.
And that looks black like coffee, right? That is called a hei cha, or like dark tea. That tea, the fermentation breaks down the caffeine. So you lose all the caffeine in that tea. But it's really rich, it's really mellow, and it breaks up fat, helps with digestion the most.
Right.
So I would say that's the indica. Then like the ultimate sativa is probably like a Phoenix Mountain oolong. Because Phoenix Mountain is where they invented oolong. It's where they invented the idea of like rolling tea leaves and bruising them and letting them sit and oxidize and then roasting them about 1,000 years ago.
Right.
And that tea, like it's lightly oxidized, so it has like really vibrant tropical fruity flavors. Think like lychee, coconut, toasted almond kind of neighborhood. That is like so vibrant, you know, that's like it tastes like a 16-year-old driving a convertible, just like energy, like, you know what I mean?
What about mint tea? What category does that fall into?
That's an herbal infusion.
Right.
So it's like mint and
It's a blend.
yeah. Well, if it's just straight peppermint, then it's not a blend. It's just an herbal infusion because
So
it's
not mixed with it, mostly not mixed with anything.
It's an infusion of a particular herb.
Yep.
Make sense?
Right.
Like, and then the same thing with chamomile, the same thing with ginger, the same thing with turmeric, the same thing with hibiscus, rooibos, like elderberry. All of these things are herbal infusions. Right. And that could be literally like any plant material. It could be like a peel of a fruit, a seed, a bark like cinnamon, a root like ginger. All of that is herbal infusions.
Right.
But the word tea, if we look at its history, it's describing this particular plant. You know
now,
what I'm saying?
for most people that don't know, because Demo had to actually teach me this, a lot of people, I guess, don't even know what the proper way to sip tea is.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to educate, bro.
I mean, it's like, you know, proper way. It's like wine. You know, like you can just sip a wine, but then if you aerate the wine, you'll end up getting a lot more like flavor and aroma.
Right.
You know, and like at the end of the day, like these like flavor profiles and aromatics have been refined for so long that like you want to turn the volume up to like really get everything out of it.
Yep.
So the idea is like, you know, if you drink a whiskey, you take a sip and then there's how it tastes immediately.
Right.
And then you swallow that and then you breathe out
Yeah.
and there's this aromatic finish.
Yeah.
The alcohol provides enough heat to lift those aromatic compounds onto your breath.
Right.
But tea doesn't have alcohol. So you want to drink it hot and then you want to encourage that aromatic finish with your breath.
Right.
So you use your inhale to pull the tea into your mouth. Then once the tea is in your mouth, you use your breath to pull bubbles across the entire surface of your tongue.
Right.
That'll release all of the aromatic compounds throughout your mouth. Then you swallow and breathe out. And that'll push the aromatic compounds up to your palate. So it'll look kind of like this, right? First, cheers, my brother. Salud.
Well, thank you, man. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, bro. So first, like this. And like green tea is very clean, you know. I know that like it's early in the day. We just drank coffee. I'm sure. Like I just drank coffee.
Fourth cup. Yep.
Shout out to Arcane Estate Coffee putting out fucking amazing coffee.
Big shout out.
They just got named 12th best coffee shop in the world.
Nice.
In the West Village of Manhattan. My homie Edgar's, he founded it. He's growing his own coffee in Panama. His coffee's beautiful. Dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, so wow, went on a tangent there, but like yeah, after coffee, because coffee releases all of its caffeine in like 20 minutes,
Right.
But green tea takes about 2 hours. So if you're like, you know, if you're drinking a coffee, but then you don't want to crash afterwards, and you still have a lot of work to do, it's early in the day. That's a good time to just jump right into drinking green tea, and you can drink plenty of that, and it'll release its caffeine slowly, so you won't get like the jitters. Just like 2 hours later, you'll feel a soft boost.
Right.
You know.
I mean, this is beautiful. It tastes so clean.
Dude, like, it's called sweet dew. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't it taste like early morning on a mountain? Like you're walking barefoot and
So
like
clean.
just kicking up dew. It's like tastes the way that the mountain morning smells, you know?
Right.
It's so clean.
Nice aftertaste. Like just clean.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
You could tell it's nothing added, nothing like it's just pure.
That quality is like, that's like what we look for in like really high quality green tea.
Right.
It should be so clean and direct, you know, like oolongs and aged teas. Like we haven't even talked about pu'er.
Right.
Pu'er, just real quick, it's like 99% of the world's tea comes from clones.
Right.
Pu'er is only seed propagated tea trees. So they have much deeper roots and they pull more minerals into the leaf than that tea can age.
Right.
And those teas, like as they age, they break down crazy aromatics. Like, you know, it goes into notes of like wet wood and tobacco and leather and prune, and it sits on your breath like for hours. You know what I'm saying?
But this like instantly calms me. Like this, like once it hits, it just instantly like.
Yeah, man. It's like that's what I mean about tea being subtle. You know what I mean? It doesn't yell at you, dude. It's not like I love coffee. I love champagne. I love champagne.
Right.
You know. But those things are a little bit more like undeniable. If somebody wants to drink that and be like, I don't really taste anything, it tastes like water, like nobody's going to argue with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you're paying attention, there's actually a lot there. And it doesn't feel watery. It feels silky. Like, and there is flavor, but it's subtle. And like a lot of people just like fly right by subtleness and that subtlety. And that's okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, it's not yelling. But if you're paying attention, it says a lot, but it whispers it. It doesn't yell it, you know? And I think that's like, we kind of need that. Like with the frantic pace of American life, of Instagram and TikTok and emails and all of it, dude. It's like, just heat up some water, take a sip, take a breath. Just helps put things into perspective, helps put our feet on the floor, but keep our head in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
So while we enjoy this beautiful tea, let me ask you a question. What are Mike Ortiz's top 5 places when you're not working to hang or go get something to eat?
Yeah. So like, I have to say honestly that like, cause like this kind of sounds crazy, but I have to say it's true. Like, you know, Demo and my friend Alex Bistritz that I was telling you about, a couple other homies, JM, Del Valle and Jack, like we literally hang out at the tea room.
Right.
You know, we have sessions maybe like once every couple of weeks. We all come into the tea room.
Well,
like
listen,
8
for
p.m.
those who haven't been, it is an experience. If you get that, if you're lucky enough to get that invite, or if Mike opens it up full time,
which we're working on,
which they're working on.
But for now, on the last Saturday of every month, we have a tea party. We call it Up All Night, and that's 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Come in, there's like a flat fee at the door that gives you a cup. We're pouring tea all night,
DJ,
spinning music on vinyl, and it's a nice vibe. Like, so it's like, dude, I have my whole record collection at the tea room.
It's such a setback. Like, it's such a just time out from the world. And like,
yeah, so like really, you know, I like hanging out there a lot.
All right, so when you're not at the tea room,
when I'm not at the tea room, it's like, you know, the tea room's on 76 in Biscayne. So in the hood,
don't tell you, but you're gonna ruin it for everybody, bro. I'm not gonna be able to get in anymore, man.
But when we're in the hood, you know, like Barbuche and Sonny's are
Mike Barolo, Will, Carey,
absolutely
Aaron Brooks, man.
essential, amazing places. You know, the Citadel is such like a jewel, just because there's such beautiful vibes, man. And like,
who's your favorite vendors in there?
Oh, dude, like, you know what's crazy? Like I mean, okay, like I love Mikey
Right.
at USBS.
Bro, by far one of the best burgers in Miami, hands down.
Of course, man. Fries, amazing fries.
Right.
I love Franco
buns, right.
at Stanzione.
Our homie, bro. That's our homie,
dude,
Stanzione.
homie, and
Right.
and like an amazing product, dude.
Right.
If it was a homie and his product was bullshit, none of our homies are bullshit products.
No. They wouldn't be. They wouldn't
It's
be a
the
homie
only
if it was,
qualifying factor. It's like, take what you do seriously, bro.
Right. What else you like?
But then, like, dude, you know who has like snuck onto my radar there? That is like exceptional, dude. Is Miami Shores Fish Market.
Interesting. Okay.
Bro, so good.
Interesting.
So good. Like, so good, man. Hot buttered potatoes, roasted cauliflower, but their fish, dude, is like perfect.
On point, huh?
Perfect. I've never had a bad bite, dude.
Right.
Perfect. Shout. Like,
Love that. Big shout out.
And then Borti is also throwing down beautiful pastas out there.
Yep, that's our boy.
Doña Posada, fucking Vice City Bean, like since day one, like putting out great coffee, great tea in Miami.
Oh, so you're all about Little Haiti, Little River,
bro,
Miami Shores right now,
like,
bro. I love it. Upper East Side.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what a jewel, the Citadel. And then you have Kaiju upstairs, like
Right.
making like the most
Shout out
interesting
to our
cocktails.
boy Derek Stone.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was on, right?
Yeah.
Like making some of the most interesting cocktails in like South Florida, dude, just like legendary. You
Right.
know what I mean? So like, I really love our neighborhood, man. I
Right.
really love our neighborhood. But then outside of that, it's like, you know, Michael's Genuine is like
I mean, we spoke about him before. He's the GOAT.
Dude, it's like I feel like Michael's Genuine is like the cultural capital of Miami. There was a while that Michael's Genuine was closed. They were doing renovations.
Yep.
I feel like Miami's a different city when Michael's Genuine is closed. Straight up, it's like that. It just like holds everything together. It's like it's Michael's Genuine is like a real jewel.
Always on point.
100%, bro. 100%. Just visited Stormy Mondays. Like, shouts to them, man.
That's right,
exactly.
Monday, right.
They're doing some really cool shit. But then also, like, shouts to Palma and Juan at Palma. Like, they're doing such forward-thinking food.
Right.
It's incredible, the food that they're putting out, man.
And I think that's when you could tell the locals from the transplants, right?
100%, man. 100%. Like, 100%. Like, obligatory shout to Beltran and what he's done with Ariette and Chuggy.
Big shout out, bro.
But then if you're in the Grove, like, how about drinking pig,
Right,
dude?
Raheem, bro. That's our boy.
Oh, my God.
Boy,
like,
I mean, for me, he is barbecue. Like, he's the barbecue
legend,
guy.
like amazing,
Right.
dude, on its own planet,
Right.
like, you know, Apocalypse is great, like,
Right.
but like, wow, like love what Raheem is
Right.
up to in the Grove, and respect to Apocalypse also.
Absolutely,
They're putting
Jeff,
out
man.
beautiful
Have
product.
good stuff, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Where else do I like to go? Like, my parents live in South Miami.
Yep.
Whenever I'm in South Miami, I like to drop into Whisk Gourmet and Atelier Monnier for like the French pastries, but Whisk is like just such like comfort food.
Right.
I remember like the OG Whisk location in 2009, like they were so ahead of their time, just putting out real thoughtful, like new American
You mentioned
classics.
that a couple times to me. Like, you like it there, huh?
Dude, I like just like shrimp and grits,
Right.
and like, you know,
Oh, just keep it fucking simple.
dude,
Right.
but beautiful, you
Right.
know, and like really like caring about the food that they put out and doing it for so long like that. It's like, it's refreshing to go into Whisk Gourmet, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I think like Chifa Dukan, you know.
Right.
It's like, that's what I'm saying about Miami, bro. Like, where else do you get Whisk Gourmet, Chifa Dukan, Palma, you know?
You know, a lot of people bash it, man, but I'm always going to defend Miami. I think it's greatest city in the world, man. You know, even just like, look at us, man. Just like the excitement we get talking about it, and you know, and talking about our homies and lifting everybody up. You know, it's good, man. I think we're blessed to be.
Of
where we
course,
are,
man.
you know?
Of course. And but also like an endless and forever shout to the memory and echo of Alter and Kaido and Ember. Like, dude,
So
like,
our boy B, bro, our boy Brad Kilgore.
Alter was like,
That was the game changer.
Alter, I think, is like the best restaurant in the history of Florida, dude.
For tasting menus, that
Dude.
was the game changer.
It was like that, the soft
Epic.
egg, dude.
Right.
Like, it was just like beautiful, dude.
I miss Alter a lot.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too, man. Alter was such a special moment, you know.
And I asked Brad many times, like, bro, will you ever bring back Alter? He's like, no, that was it. You can't how do you replicate the time in Wynwood? How do you replicate, you know, it's different. Like, now anything else he does, it'll be something else. It'll be, different, you know, like, God bless him, man.
It was amazing. And a lot of people went through that kitchen too, man.
Right.
Shouts
Right.
to Seth. I mean,
Seth,
you know.
yeah. I mean, we were just at Stormy Monday.
Exactly,
Yeah,
man. Exactly. And Nico and Recoveco, Nico
Right.
and Tere, they also went through that kitchen. So, like, yeah, man. Just like, Seth invited me in to cook a family meal for them
Nice.
one day.
Really?
I made like this like super spicy Yunnan pork noodles
Yep.
with like cilantro and green onion. I made like a big meal for the whole team. It
Right.
was like such a special moment, man. Like, yeah, Alter was like just legendary, you know.
What do you think the future of hospitality looks like in Miami?
Man, you know, I think that like I see it going in like two extremes. I see like the care and thought and like expertise of places like Palma, places like Facade, like putting forth just like unapologetic, amazing product.
Right.
And then I also see like an elevation of fast food
Right.
coming with like Bluma.
Yep.
Bluma's putting out really
Bluma's good.
Dude, their fries are like
Yep.
they make me remember like the McDonald's fries that I loved when I was
As
a
a kid,
kid,
bro,
you know,
yeah.
those tallow
Absolutely.
fries,
Right.
so good.
Right.
You know, we've got Fuku coming in. Like, I think that there's so much like there's Miami has a beautiful casual scene, I think, too. Like,
I think so too.
Like,
You know what, dude? Like,
million shouts to El Bagel.
Mad. That's our
Come
boy,
on,
bro.
you know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
absolutely.
And Simon, like Matt and Simon, like they're putting out such good product, like unapologetically, day after day, year after year. changing the game in Miami.
You know what? I was actually at Imperial Moto the other day, and like they're fucking. I don't know if you've had their burger, man. And dude, they have a flat fry and a burger now,
Wow, I didn't know
and
that.
a bacon, egg, and cheese. I was like, holy shit, where the fuck am I? Like,
Yeah.
shocked, you know.
Yeah.
And we had Matt on the thing last week. And I was like, dude, I was like, I'm not blowing smoke in your ass. I was like, this is one of the best burgers I've had in Miami, and definitely one of the best fries, man. Like, I definitely got to take you there. Man.
He's been working hard for a long time,
Yeah.
man. Like they've been, again, like just unapologetically doing their thing. I think that like that's what makes Miami so special. That it's like because we're not like a Manhattan,
Right.
that it's like you gotta like the competition is so fierce that you've gotta like innovate every day. It's not like that,
Right.
But then at the same time, the competition is fierce,
Right.
And there's only so many tourists to go around, especially in the summer,
Right.
So it's like it's like this ecosystem where there's enough insulation that it's like you have to refine what you do. You have to like develop your identity and refine it and sharpen your sword every day,
Right.
and like refine your gong fu. You know what I mean? You've got to
Right.
like get better and better at what you do and define it and make it more irreplicable.
Right.
And those are the spots that really stand out. Machialina, like we said, man, like who else does that? Who else
No.
can do that?
And it's,
you know?
I'm glad that they're all homies, bro.
100%,
And
man.
I love to see the homies do well, man. You know?
Yeah.
We're going to continue drinking tea, man. But listen, seriously, thank you for making it. I know you're busy, so thank you for making it down here, man. I love always talking shop with you, man. I'm glad you got to fucking drop knowledge on our fucking listeners, and got to have you back. And
Word.
bro, good luck with everything, man. I've always been a huge fan. I'm going to continue being a huge fan. Support everything you do, man. Thank you for being an important part of the 305 and being a huge part of our community. And, thank you for inventing and just bringing, special vibes and fucking, just you being you, man.
Much
Thank
love,
you.
bro. Much love and much thanks, man.
Bro, thank you, man.
Yeah,
Bro,
and
we're going to
to-
continue drinking, bro.
100%. But I want to say to anybody, to the people watching, like, please follow us on Instagram, Sip Jojo, because we do tea parties on the last Saturday of every month, and we're finding ways to do more activations. And, we do like really intimate,
Right.
we do like a small concerts in the tea room. You can also book a private session by reaching out directly to us. So if you want to like get your feet wet or, taste some tea or come in and feel it out, give us a shout, follow us on Sip Jojo, and
Guys,
stay
I
tuned.
guarantee I'm not just saying it, it really is life changing. If you want that like peace in your day or your night, or this is the place to go to just disconnect. It's awesome, man. Thank you for everything you do.
All right,
bro.
thank you, my brother.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
bro.
man.